Yesterday, someone said to me that they thought that AI is going to make us all super, super lazy, and you cannot see the economical wealth that is being created by AI or using AI. Now, I disagree, but to a certain extent. And tell me, what do you think about this? Do you think I'm right? I think AI can make us lazy, has the potential to make us lazy, if we're using it without kind of consciously sometimes knowing what we're using it for. Let me give you an example. So of course, many of us, most of us nowadays are using it to maybe just edit the work emails that we're sending out, making sure they're grammatically correct, they're having a certain tone, or the messaging comes across very clearly. The same for like just maybe, I don't know, text messages, something like that, communication around work, and writing stuff in general, stuff that we don't want to do. And most of the time, of course, I find it really cool because you can just really save time, and it saves us tons of time. And most of us, like adults, of course, we have been in school, we've studied grammar, we've studied writing and all this kind of stuff, but it just like really helps us save time. However, here in that case, of course, it has also the inclination is also there that it does make us lazier because we don't have to use our brain to edit maybe that piece of email or writing anymore. Because AI does it for us. However, I did heavily disagree with him on one point. I also think that AI really enhances us and almost makes us like a little bit superhuman. And let me give you an example for that. I only think it makes us superhuman in the sense that when we're using it in an area of expertise that we already possess and that we've probably spent years maybe becoming almost an expert in or proficient in. Let's take maybe for us moms, most of the time we're the ones planning it, but let's take cooking for examples. Most of us are probably pretty proficient at, coming up with a meal plan and cooking and making sure the whole family is fed. Or if you're a dad, I applaud you. But usually in our family, I really like to do that. That's like my area of responsibility. Now, when I'm using ChatGPT, I've noticed it actually enhances the basic skills that I already have and makes it very simpler in certain terms. For instance, in the past, I was scrolling forever, maybe also looking at cookbooks prior, but I was also scrolling sometimes YouTube for ideas, what my kids want to eat, blah, 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 what, fits within my sort of what I like to eat, my diet and so on, and trying to come up with strategic meals, right? Also, of course, that are within the budget. And then usually when you do that, so usually when we're doing that, then we noticing that I usually go to the grocery store and then I have this whole list of items that I'm trying to buy. And it's kind of like really frustrating. Whereas now with ChatGPT, the last few months, I went to the grocery store or farmer's market. I'm looking at what is right now really seasonal, maybe. I'm looking at what kind of really speaks to me, right? I have some base ideas in mind, right? In terms of veggies, fruits my kids like, protein, some fiber, options like grains and whatnot. And then what I do is I take a picture of everything that I purchased then, also maybe what I have in my pantry or fridge already. I pre-program ChatGPT before they already know the kind of like dietary maybe restrictions some of us in the family have and preferences that we have. And based on that, it comes up with meals that I can cook and that I can stretch out, essentially cooking of all of those items that I purchased and more that I have in the pantry, making me essentially really ultra efficient. And then as I'm cooking, of course, because I have a proficient level already or an expert level around like certain meal, prepping meals and whatnot, I, for instance, see some stuff that I might have not taken a picture of that I have in the fridge or so on that I can add on to make this food even yummier. However, then you take that, for instance, and my husband tried it out and he wasn't quite sure sometimes the right questions to ask. Of course, you can take a picture and then it writes, it sends you like recipes. But as you and I know, there's thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands of things that you could cook with like certain kind of ingredients. And then knowing kind of like having that base layer, I would say, of knowledge when it comes to that subject matter will allow you, I think, to become a way more productive human being also using AI in the future going forward. And I'd love to know what you're thinking. And the same I've noticed like come in the business world right now to change it again. So for instance, I've noticed that some of my clients, they try to, for instance, create with AI or have AI already, use AI to create sales pages, to create a copy of any kind. And what we've noticed is that if you do not know what to ask for, if you do not understand the base concept of what makes copy convert and all this kind of stuff, what is the base ideas or the rules of structuring a sales page, then most of the time AI is just there to kind of make you lazy, right? And you will not get the optimum benefit out of using AI and ChatGPT and so on. So I'd love to know what you think about that. Let me know in the comments. As I'm going back right now to our Sunday meal prepping.